he learned. And now, to say it forward, Direk Mark Aranal.
Hello, everyone. We are talking about the 7 essential elements of the arts, okay, which are, in my opinion, education, evangelism, excellence, efficacy, edification, expansion, and exaltation. Now, I want to focus on evangelism. Now, I'm sure you've heard of that word before. It had been used, abused, overused. Okay, but let me redefine it. Okay, it may not be a traditional definition of it, but for me, evangelism is every time you point people to a higher truth. Okay? It's not necessarily, how to be born again, the 4 spiritual laws, although that is the gospel, that is evangelism. Don't get me wrong, I am not contradicting that. But in a broader perspective, whenever you use the arts to bring people to a higher truth, higher than themselves, you are actually doing the work of an evangelist. Because eventually, if they start asking the right questions because of your art form, whether it's a play, a song that you composed, or a visual art that you painted or you created, if it will bring them to ideas of, hey, maybe there's a higher being out there, maybe the world does not revolve around me, and I'm just part of a creation. If people will begin to ask questions about eternity, about life, about the Creator, about God Himself, it doesn't matter what religious background you come from, but if you bring people to a higher truth about themselves, then you are doing the work of an evangelist. That is my definition of it. Now, let me share to you something. A long time ago, I was doing the Performing Arts Ministry of a particular Christian community that I belong to, okay? And at that time, I did not know much. I did not know much about the Bible. I was very new in that field that I got into. And yet, the leaders, the pastors and the leaders of the church trusted me so much that everything that I proposed, that, hey, why don't we do a play like this, they would readily approve. Anyway, in one of the particular productions that I did entitled Geometria, and this is significant for me, guys, because God used it to affirm in my heart that, yes, I am calling you to use your art to honor my name. When we were doing Geometria, after one of the performances, I received a letter, anonymous, from someone who decided to commit suicide. Okay? Briefly, the story was, he was already fed up in life and he has determined that his life has to end. He will commit suicide. How he's going to do it, he had already planned in detail. He has already written his goodbye letter, his suicide note to his family, and he has decided when to do it. And because he wanted to go with a dramatic flair, he decided to do it on the day of his birthday, which happened to be a few days after our show. So a few days before his birthday, he was walking around and saw us doing this musical play called Geometria. He walked in, he thought it was a movie premiere, and one of the ushers led him inside. And according to him, according to his letter, as soon as he sat, he sensed something different. He saw the set, he heard the music, and something just came over him, and he just started to weep. He just started to seek God, but he did not know what was happening yet. Okay, to make the long story short, as the musical progressed, at a certain point, even before the challenge to come and give your life to God, he has already done it. And he wrote that letter and gave it to me anonymously. Flash forward a few years, we were giving a farewell party to one of our youth leaders whose family was about to go abroad and to migrate to another country, okay? And he came up to me and said, Kuya Mark, naalala mo meron nagbigay sa inong letter. Someone gave you a letter talking about how he gave his life during one of the performances of Geometria. And I said, oh yeah, do you know the guy? Kilala mo siya? And he said, Kuya Mark, that was me. That was me. He became one of our youth leaders. And he kept it confidential, he kept it a secret until it was time for him to move on to another country. Suffice it to say, it was a very emotional experience for me. I hugged him, I embraced him. I appreciated his letting me know that. And that is one of the strong confirmations where God told me, anak, tinawag kita sa sining for a higher purpose. I called you to the arts for a purpose that you may not understand now, but I was the one who called you. Now, you're an artist. I don't know why you're doing it, how you're doing your art. Maybe you are a professional, or maybe you're just a hobbyist. You just love to express yourself creatively. And I respect that, okay? But let me tell you, you will never find fulfillment as an artist until you make that decision that you want to use it to honor the name of God, who is the source of your arts in the first place, the source of all your talents and skills in the first place. And it is minimum, the minimum thing, the least, the very least that we could do is to offer it to Him. Okay? You may use it to earn a living, and it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. God also wants to bless you. That's why He gave you those talents. But unless you dedicate that, Lord, I want to use your talent to honor, to glorify you, and to eventually bring people to you, then you will never find fulfillment. You may be wealthy, you may be successful, you may be popular, you may use your talent for self-aggrandizement, but let me tell you, it's not going to last. You're going to end up in frustration. Your value in yourself is not your artistry. Let me tell you this. Some people put their value in themselves because of their talent. So when they feel they're no longer talented, or they're no longer in demand, or they no longer get invited to perform, they feel that their value had lessened. No. You are very valuable in the eyes of God as you are. Why He gave you those talents? It is for a higher purpose. You are not any more special than other people just because you are talented. Let me say that again. You are not any more special than other people just because you are gifted. But your gifting is to serve a higher purpose. That's why I want to talk about evangelism. But again, I redefined it that any act that brings people to a higher truth, that brings the audience to see above or higher than themselves, is, in my book, in my opinion, evangelistic. May you always strive to seek for more opportunities to say, oh Lord, how do I use my talents to bring people to a higher truth?